Hi everyone, hope you're all keeping well. This is Andy from We Are Wellbeing. Just doing a quick introduction to Wellbeing Champions to let you know what it's all about. So Wellbeing Champions is a CPD accredited training course that we created to support people within businesses, so volunteers within organizations, to become a health and wellbeing advocate. It's almost a bit like an extension of the We Are Wellbeing team. These are people who have got a good level of empathy, who care about their colleagues and care about the workplace and want the workplace to feel like a better place to work. And this is either a 1 day in person or a 2 half-a-day online training course that is CPD accredited. So during the training course, we cover a bit of an introduction to the 4 pillars, or what we call the 4 pillars of wellbeing. So that's physical health, mental health, social welfare, and financial wellbeing. And what we find out in the training course is that these are quite broad pillars. So physical health is a huge subject range. It covers nutrition and sleep and energy and medical conditions as well. Obviously, mental health is very much about stress, anxiety, and depression, but it's also about thriving. It's about motivation. It's about positivity. It's about resilience. It's about being able to cope. So that's, again, a big subject range. Social well-being is obviously about our interactions and how we interact socially, by things like social support and battling things like isolation and loneliness. And then financial well-being, which is the big subject at the minute. It's the thing that people seem to be struggling with the most, due to obviously various reasons. But what we know is that if somebody's struggling with their financial well-being, it will have a huge impact on their social, mental, and physical health. So one of the things that we do with the champions is train them to understand, well, what are the different concerns, how to have a good conversation with somebody, and then signpost them to some useful resources. When we talk about the role of a champion, we've got a bit of a high-level overview here, but generally it's things like health and wellbeing promotion. If there's all these different health and wellbeing awareness days that happened throughout the annual calendar. So it's raising awareness of different concerns, making people more aware of things like breast cancer and testicular cancer and prostate cancer, and when should you go for a check. Understanding, how to promote the awareness of those, but also things like promoting self-awareness and, what does a good day look like and what does not a good day look like, and how can you pay more attention to yourself so you get support earlier. We want the champions to lead by example, so that they don't need to be visions of health and well-being, but they need to be leading by example and being almost a bit like a health and well-being role model to some extent. Champions obviously have to have a good level of compassion and empathy because they need to care about their colleagues and doing it for the right reasons. If champions are having conversations about health and well-being, they need to have a good understanding of the areas for signposting. So this could be internal resources, things like an employee assistance program or access to HR or to internal counselling, those kind of things, but also external resources as well, which we provide them with lots of information. Then raising awareness of resources. So what are the kind of resources that we have available? So as We Are Wellbeing, we provide lots of resources, which I'll go through in a minute, but also external resources as well. And how do we access and raise awareness of some of those? And then obtaining and providing feedback. So one of the things that often happens in organizations is wellbeing gets dropped on somebody, usually somebody in HR, and then they end up trying to decide on what happens from a wellbeing perspective for an entire organization. It doesn't really work. So what the champions are really well placed to do is to provide information to whoever runs or whoever's in charge of health and wellbeing, to come together as a steering group to decide, well, actually, these are the concerns that we're seeing. These are the challenges that we're seeing people being faced with. And this is maybe what we need to do as an organization to add a high level of support. So that's generally the overview of what a wellbeing champion should do. And it can vary somewhat from business to business. What we talk about with the Wellbeing Champions is an evidence-based approach to health and wellbeing. So we use something called the 5 ways to wellbeing, and this is an evidence-based approach that's pretty common in the world of health and wellbeing. And this is where we encourage people to connect with each other, to become more active, to take notice of self-awareness of how you're doing yourself, but also what's happening in the world around you, the benefits of learning, and also the benefits of voluntary work and giving your time to others. And when you bring those together, they are referred to as what we call the 5 ways to wellbeing, which is, like I say, a common practice approach in health and wellbeing at work. We Are Wellbeing, so we provide access to a range of resources that we've curated over time. So this includes things like pre-recorded webinars, our wellbeing insights, blogs that have been created by our team of experts. And then we've got this digital toolbox of resources that the champions can access whenever they want. And that's constantly updated as well by me and some of my colleagues. Hopefully that's given you a good overview of Wellbeing Champions and what it is and what the Wellbeing Champions Network's there to do.